In this video, I'm going to show you how to remove and replace a bellow boot on a RAV4 located on the steering rack. Remove the hubcap. You can use a pry bar or a screwdriver, and that gives you better access to the lug nuts. So we're going to take the wheel off, 21mm socket, remove the lug nuts. When you have a wheel that's stuck like that, I take one lug nut and I put it back on by hand, a couple of turns, and I'll take a long pry bar or a rubber mallet, tap it. Remove the wheel. I like to take a crayon or a marker. I'm going to mark the end of the jam nut on that inner tie rod end thread. And I'm also going to count. First, we're going to loosen that jam nut. It's a 22mm wrench. Break it free. So now with a pair of cutters, I'm going to remove that old cotter pin. If it breaks off, no need to worry. We'll have to drill it out. You have to clip any of the extra off. Make sure that socket fits over. So our castle nut is an 18mm socket, and I'm going to try to break it free with that old rusted cotter pin in there. So I like to start the castle nut again, just a couple turns, so that I can hit that with a hammer and it doesn't fall down. Now with a steady swing, we're going to hit that knuckle right there and jam that loose. Now you can manually undo that castle nut, set it aside, and pop it down. Now that's the way it sits in the vehicle. I'm going to count the turns, with this being 12 o'clock. 5, 15, 15 and a quarter. So we'll set that aside. Now I've got to take that jam nut off. So I'm going to hold the inner tie rod end and loosen that up. So on this inner tie rod end, there's a notch here, and a 16mm wrench fits on it quite well. So I'll take my 22mm wrench and I'm going to work this nut off. Once I got past that old thread locker, I can take it off by hand. Taking note how it goes in. The rounded side is towards the bellow boot, and that washer side is toward the outer tie rod end. A pair of pliers will just squeeze and pull that clamp off. This one's in good shape, so I'm definitely going to reuse that. Now the inner clamp is not reusable. You can see that little stile right there. Get a flathead screwdriver, the fastest way to take this off. Flathead screwdriver, find that little spot, go right in there, give it a twist. There we go. And we're going to discard that. Now this part right here will break free easy, but this is the part that's going to be hard to slide it over. So this is what I've done through the years. Take a pocket screwdriver, spread that up a little bit, and I'm going to spray some penetrating spray right in there. Make it work around. And now when I grab that bellow boot on the inside, it'll freely pop right over it. One motion. So now we're going to take our new bellow boot, slide it right over that inner tie rod end, and feel where that notch is. See this notch right there? That's what we're looking for. It'll drop right into place. Then we'll attach the other end. Feel free to squish it in all the way, because we're going to wire tie that inner piece to confirm it's nice and tight when we pull it down and lock that in. Now you can feel, if you bring your fingers like this, you'll feel it go all the way around and fit into that groove. Now we'll get the wire tie that it comes with, the bigger of the two, and I'm going to pre-loop it out here. Hopefully make my life a little easier. Bring it on in, line it up in that groove, and pull on it. Now what I've noticed, what you can do is grab a pair of flat pliers so you don't damage anything, right at the nose of that clipper, and give it a good, just keep twisting it. And it'll tighten up pretty easy without breaking. Grab it, make sure it's still sitting in the groove, and it's tight, won't turn. And we'll get a pair of cutters and cut off that excess. Just like that. And now we'll get that clamp. Now another quick tech tip to make sure that when you get in alignment it works smoothly is, I'll take, just like I use the penetrating spray, but I'm going to take some silicone paste, high temp, and I'm going to just bring it all the way around, right where that boot goes. So that way when the alignment gets done and that inner targeting gets turned, that bellow boot doesn't twist because it's not dry at the connector here. It'll be nice and seated just right. So now it sits like that, and the clamp's going to go on. So once you get that clamp on there, you can let it go. Make sure it's seated, locked in that little groove. So now I'm going to put my jam nut back on, paying attention again, making sure that washer side is facing the outer tie rod end. And I can still see a little bit of my crayon mark here. Let me spin that. See how that stays in place? It doesn't twist because it has that silicone paste in it. And there's my yellow mark. So I know that this jam nut has to go all the way up to this butt, hits that yellow mark. And then I still count my turns on my outer tie rod end. There we go. Now before I put this back on, I have to get this old cotter pin out. So I'm going to go over to a vise and see if I can do a center punch first before I drill, because drill is the last thing I want to do. So you can see I got that cotter pin out, so I can put a new one in. And I'm going to start, I think it was about a quarter turn, right? And we're going to count 15 and a quarter in. So there's 1, 15. Look at that. So now I'm going to slide it back up through that knuckle. Put the castle nut on. 18mm socket, and we'll snug it up. 18mm. So the outer tie rod end stud to knuckle is 36 foot-pounds. 18mm socket. We'll snug that right up to 36 foot-pounds. Let's see where that cotter pin is, just a little bit more. There it is. So I'm going to take a new cotter pin, slide it right through. Take my cutters, peel it back. And I like to cut this flush. Now we're going to tighten this jam nut. The torque is 36 foot-pounds. If you have a way of torquing a nut with a wrench, then go for it. Other than that, I'm going to lock it, make sure it's pivoted as hard as I can, and I'm going to give it a good pull. Straighten the tie rod end up. Go ahead and reinstall the wheel. Put the lug nuts on by hand. Start them. Take our 21mm socket. We're just going to snug them up. Crisscross. Now we can lower it and torque it to factory specs. 21mm socket, and we're going to torque the wheels to 76 foot-pounds in a cross pattern, crisscross. And double check. After finishing this installation, it's important to have an alignment done on your vehicle. Now to reinstall the hubcap, you line up the valve stem. And then there it is. When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.